G'day so-and-sos, welcome to our sewing room. My name is Kathy, Sleeping Beauty over there is Lucy Purr, and in today's video we're going to teach you how to draft up your own pattern to make one of the boxy bags in whatever size that you like. There's a link in the description box to a free PDF worksheet which I'm going to be using today, so you can go there and print that out so you can work along with me. So this video today is solely on how to draft up your patterns so that you can make one of these in your desired measurements. On my channel, I have another really step-by-step tutorial on how to actually make the boxy bag itself. And no matter what size boxy bag you want to make, with the pattern that you draft up, it will work with that video. You just apply your own measurements to the height and width and corners. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what I mean. Now, that method that I use in that video allows us to not have any raw edges and not to have to use bias tape. So I really do prefer that method. But today, we're just going to learn how to get the size and dimensions that we want. So let's get cracking on that. Now, anyone that's a regular viewer of my channel will know that I suck at math. So if I can do this, I really think anyone can do this. So first things first, work out what size bag you actually want, what you're going to be using it for. So I made this one just to put a couple of little shampoo bottles in, that type of thing when I go away. So it is 6 inches wide by 4 inches high by 3 inches deep, that way. So have a think about what size you want yours to be. So let's say that I want to make one that is 10 inches wide. Grab a bit of pen by, say, 6 inches high, and then say I want it 4 inches deep. Okay, so that's what I want my end bag to be. So let's have a look at this method. So for my total width, to get it that 10 inches, I take my desired width, which is 10 inches, and then I take my desired height, which is 6 inches. And then I add a number for my seam allowance. Now on smaller bags, I use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and on bigger ones, I use 1/2 inch. For the ease of this video, let's say that we're going to be using a 1/2 inch seam allowance for our bag. So if I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I have a seam allowance on both sides. So a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch, even I can do that, it's 1 inch. So for this number here, our seam allowance, I will put 1. So then I have 10 plus 6 plus 1 is 17 inches. So that is my total width. Total width of my pattern piece is 17 inches. Pretty easy, right? Okay, now we need to find how high our pattern piece is going to be. So total height, I take my desired height, which is 6, and then my desired depth of my bag, which remember is across that way, which is 4, and then our seam allowance number again. And remember, it's 1/2 inch on each side, so it's 1 inch. So our total height is 6 plus 4 plus 1 is 11 inches. So total height equals 11 inches. Pretty easy. So that is the size of our pattern piece. It will be 17 by 11. Now we have to work out our zipper tape, how long of a piece of zipper tape we cut. So for our zipper tape, we take our total width, which is down here, which is our 17 inches, +3 so that we have plenty on either side for room to move. So that will be 20 inches. So our zipper tape will be 20 inches long. Now, to get our desired depth, we need to work out how big we cut our boxed corners, because our boxed corners is what will give us the shape and give us that depth on the top and bottom. So I wanted my depth to be 4 inches. So 4 inches across that way. So I take that number 4 and I just divide it by 2. So my box corners, sorry, Lucy Per's got the zoomies if you can hear that noise. So my boxed corners will be 2 inches. Corners will be 2 inches. Now, when we do our box corners, and I'll show you how to do box corners and everything like that if you don't know what I'm talking about in that other video on my channel. But when we do our boxed corners, we make sure that we measure from the inside of the seam allowance. So when we make our boxy bag, we sew down the sides of our boxy bag before we marked our boxed corners. So we sew down the side and then we measure our 2 inches by 2 inches, and we start from the seam allowance. We don't measure that 2 inches from the very side of our bag. If we did measure it from the side of that bag, then our boxed corner would be 2.5 by 2. But it's just easier to start measuring where that seam allowance is so that you make sure that your boxed corner is absolutely smick and perfect. Okay, so then we need to cut 2 pieces from our exterior fabric and 2 pieces of medium fusible fleece, which will give us that nice sort of structure so our bag isn't floppy. And then we cut 2 from our lining and 2 light on iron-on interfacing. Then we cut our zipper tape, and then we cut our little connector tabs. So when you make your bag, you just make your connector tabs to the size that's going to fit the bag that you're making. So you'll see how to make these in the video and how to attach them and everything else. So you'll be able to easily work out sort of what size that you want to make them for what size boxy bag. You don't want tiny little ones if you're making like a really big bag or something like that. But that's really easy. You'll be able to see it. Okay, so that is it. That's how we draft up our pattern. Now you know what size to cut out your fabric, and then you can go and watch that other video on how to actually construct the bag itself. Okay guys, I hope that you enjoyed that and that it all made sense. If it didn't, leave me a comment and I'll try and walk you through it. Otherwise, I will see you next week, and until then, remember, it's only fabric. We can always buy more. Okay peeps, have a good one. Bye.
Bugger.